Birds. Gay, 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 gay. Gay, 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 gay. Mms. Boards, games, that's what we're talking about. Boards, games, we're not gonna shout. We are starting off the morning with a tiny bit of singing, and I have Jason to decide of me. We met at Dragon Meet in 2016, and Jason is wearing a t-shirt with JH. That is a thing that Jason got because of, yeah, I didn't really work out this song ahead of time. Boards, games, we're having a conversation. Boards, games about conventions. Boards, games, we're not gonna shout. Boards, games, that's what we're talking about. Board games.
Woo!
Morning. It is lovely to have you with us, Jason, and hopefully we will, after that brief interlude of a couple of minutes, be able to, stick together with the internet. Hopefully it will survive. And hello, everyone out there. Hello, Alan Outson. It is lovely to see you. And I am Bez. It is approximately breakfast time in the UK, and we are blethering about board games, specifically about conventions. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about Jason for a couple of minutes. So Jason, in as much, well, I would say in as much, but we've only got an hour for the whole show. So in a maximum of 2 minutes or so, what would you like to say about yourself?
So my name is Jason. I'm an experimental composer first and foremost, which means I don't make normal sounds with my instruments. I write music for a variety of sounds. I'm currently a PhD student, or candidate as they call it, at Canterbury Christ Church University, which means I spent a lot of time with my nose in a computer or in books. Thankfully, though, I get to link that to board games and tabletop games because of the way I compose with chance and indeterminacy, which is my biggest fascination. I get to play Dungeons and Dragons and call it work, or play Wibble or games on the L deck even, and call it work. So actually, it works quite nicely.
And today the topic is conventions, as you can see at the bottom there. And a quick hello to Jess. It's lovely to have you with us. And
it's you again.
Good morning.
Morning.
Europe, Thailand, Nigeria, wherever you are watching from. You could be watching from Australia. I mean, I think it's about 7 p.m. in some parts. Alan Oughton, conventions, that's an unconventional topic. But before we get to the main topic, as we always do, let's talk about brilliant things. Brilliant things. Here's a little thing that is brilliant. Now, the reason why I started this topic is just to appreciate all the things around us that really make the world, go round, whether it's, the sense of touch, the colors. We talked about the color red. We talked about the rain. We talked about the sun that gives us heat energy and light energy. We've talked about, I've never talked about gravity, but would you like to submit a thing today that is brilliant, Jason?
Yeah, I think gravity is an important one.
I mean,
without it, we wouldn't have the Earth.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, whilst it would be really cool for a day or, even a month to be able to have weak gravity, to be able to float around, if we had literally no gravity and we were just floating around into space and we couldn't get ourselves back down, I don't know how would we be able to swim through the air? Would we just go floating out? And
the atmosphere would just disappear. I mean, we've got particularly gravity's a weak force anyway, so any weaker and the atmosphere would go, our continents and would start breaking apart. Obviously they have low gravity or no gravity isolated places to train astronauts, but generally speaking, it's not really low gravity. It just counteracts it more than anything.
Yeah, that's true. And so without gravity, we would never have evolved. I mean, life would never have come about. And there's lots
of the world as we know it.
But I mean, unlike the song, I might not be feeling fine in that situation.
Yeah, no.
Alan Outson says that fans are cool. Indeed they are. Rabbits are brilliant. There's a big white fluffy rabbit at work in a cage. And rabbits use gravity too. Indeed they do. And let's talk about daily highlights. Daily highlights. Hearing music and seeing the sights. Daily highlights. So, for me, a couple of daily highlights yesterday. I was able to have a dinner with my housemates, which was really lovely. We've had some tiffs, but we've been trying to work through things a little bit. What else? Oh, I went to the post office. I've not posted all the Kitty Cataclysm sticker stuff, but I have posted 70% of it. So I've done a good chunk, and going to send the rest depending on how stuff works out, either tomorrow, because the post office is moving back towards a regular opening schedule as people are starting to come back to work, or on Tuesday. Never go to the post office on Monday, pro tip. I also did a whole bit of hula hooping. I'm now able, I wish I had my hula hoop so I could show you. I'm now able to slap either of my thighs, whether it's the thigh against the rotation or with the rotation. So I was doing that regularly, just lifting up my leg, slapping my thigh. And I'm working on trying to be able to touch my foot whilst hula hooping, which I can't quite manage yet. But
I can't touch my foot standing up, so...
You can't? No, I don't mean like reaching down. I just mean literally lifting up your foot and doing that. Can you not do that? Can you not like lift your foot and touch it?
Not without pain in my hip, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is unfortunate. But for me, I mean, getting back into a bit of exercise, that was all daily highlights. What about you? What about yourself in the audience? Let us know. And Jason.
Not to stroke the host or anything, but the gaming stream we have yesterday. I mean, every time I attend it, it's always a nice highlight of the day. Even if I'm set myself up as a spare for if you need someone to fill, it's still quite nice to play some games and socialise. So that's always a nice highlight. Actually, a much needed nap was my highlight yesterday. I don't take enough breaks. I tend to get hyper focused on stuff, and I don't know when I'm tired, and then my body just goes, nope, you're not. You're going to sleep for the next 3 hours. And it was fantastic. I must have been tired because I fell asleep in the middle of a Doctor Who episode, which, for those who know me, that is almost blasphemous.
Jason is one of probably the biggest Doctor Who fan I know.
I've got a complete DVD collection, and that's just some of my. That's all magazines, and there's more stuff in the attic. So I'm huge fan. So I fell asleep, and I obviously needed it. And do you know what? I feel refreshed today. I woke up this morning, took my husband to work, and I felt ready for the day. It was a weird feeling. I haven't felt it in months.
Well, that sounds lovely. I mean, being that energized, it's really good to finally find some energy recently. Laura Wood in the comments says they finally found a venue for a LARP that they're running. Well done, Laura. It's great to hear. Hi, Nick. LARP. It's lovely to see you there. And Nick does say that Doctor Who, are you familiar with this episode, Horns of Nimmo?
Yeah. I mean, the one I was watching yesterday was Invasion of the Dinosaurs. So although it's an all right plot, I give it a 4 out of 10 personally. I'm rating them as I go along, and I've re-rating them as I watch my Doctor Who DVD marathon. 8 out of 10, just on a gut feeling. And Invasion of the Dinosaurs got a 4 for me. Death of the Daleks, a 7.
Okay.
Death to
And
the Daleks.
then, yeah, we've got Nick's Pun, who says, the dog wouldn't stop woofing. Hi, Elaine, it's lovely to have you with us. And when I went to see, there was a huge violet ground beetle in her sandpit. That was a neat thing. I mean, we were talking about, literally, before the show, there was the cat, the one with the sorts of white chest that came over and was eating, actually devouring, cabbage butterfly, which I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, yesterday I watched as a cabbage butterfly was fluttering around amongst the flowers right next to the cat, and I was like, what are you doing, butterfly? That's just... Yeah, they don't have much intelligence, those insects.
It must be euphoric terror, Bez.
That's a callback to last night's things. And so that is our daily highlights. And final thing before we start off the proper topic is games. What have we been playing? What are their names? What games have we been playing? Let us know in the comments. I think that I've been playing only 2 games yesterday. I think I did actually make a single turn on a few things on Board Game Arena, but presumably the 2 games that I was playing were the same as Jason. So do you want to tell us about them, Jason? Because people have heard my voice on this show quite a bit.
Well, I've been playing 2 of 3 games I was playing yesterday as well. So Giftable, which is definitely now one of my favourites, along with Phrasal and Fable. I do like the abstract and the bizarre, so that kind of fits. And Say Anything, which is great fun and always a surprise. I never quite know how much I don't know people, but until we play Say Anything. And then, of course, I'm a noob, so I play Minecraft. So I did like a 45 minutes on Minecraft yesterday, just clearing out some land. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I was really impressed anything worked with 3 players. It's been a while since I played it. I kind of feel like with 3 players, voting only 1 vote per person might have been slightly better than the normal rule of voting 2 votes per person, because when there's more players, it makes more sense to want to split your vote. But when there's 3 players and you're getting 1 point for the writing down the thing and 2 whole points for betting on it, that seems a bit odd to me, at least. I feel like the balance should be slightly different for 3 players, whereas when it's 5 or 6, it absolutely makes sense to be able to split your vote. But it is still a solid game, and great work by Dominic Krapachet and Satish Plalamari. And Giftable is not by me technically, although I did do a little bit of development to it. It's by David Brain, I should just say that, for the LDEC. And I have also been playing, if we're talking about electronic games, as usual, a little bit of Ingress. I think I walked nearly 2 miles after our show last night. I got out, I just did a little bit of Ingress, and I was like, okay, there's the portal. Oh, wow. I see just on the edge of the map some blue portals, and blue is the enemy. If you join Ingress, play green. And then went over and blasted all the blue portals and was like, having a little sense of achievement, getting some experience points, which they call AP. And so that was good.
Such a nerd, Bez. Such a nerd.
Say Anything sounds cool. Did we play that here? Where? Where do you mean, Jess? I think like... Jess, I don't know if you knew me when I was going to... Yeah, you definitely knew me when I was going to the Language Tea Cafe. I don't know if you ever went to any of them. That was something that I used to go to quite a bit with all these international students from Glasgow University when I myself wasn't a student. So I was just this person who'd kind of been to Paisley University, had just finished, and I was, no,
Jessica, the guessing game was another thing. It was what was it?
But tune in another day on Thursday, and we'll be playing that in a couple more weeks. Say anything.
Sorry,
but that is games we've been playing, and I should say that I seem to be getting better at Quarto, although it might just be that the people I'm starting to play with, the turn-based versions, are friends rather than experts of the game. So I think that's really the main difference there. So that's why I've started winning. But yeah, on to the main thing. And just an introduction, Jason Hodgson, as it says at the bowl, is an award-winning PhD candidate studying composition at Canterbury Christ Church University. Is it a good university?
I like the department. I've got quite a good supervisor who likes to play devil's advocate with me in my thesis, which is, we have lovely debates about the topic. Whether he agrees or disagrees, I have no idea, but it's definitely worth it.
Now, you are running Adventures and Artists, which I had the privilege to go and see once live, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that a different day, which Adventures and Artists, as you can see, all the links again down at the bottom. Check out Jason and Adventures and Artists. It was some people on a stage playing Dungeons and Dragons, which you kind of got to watch. But then in the background was, I think, 3 people, like a 3-piece orchestra, 3 musicians improvising to the what's happening, making sound effects in a musical manner, making some atmospheric music, and it really elevated stuff.
Completely improvised. Well, they're complete reactionary, raw. No practice before. Well, practice, but no score.
That is the difference, and we'll get probably into your thesis, which is about chance and indeterminacy, and what is the difference between the two, another day, because that's something that I'm sure you could talk about for several hours.
Can we wait till after I've done the thesis? I haven't got the conclusion yet.
Okay. Well, we're maybe lining up extra forthcoming episodes here. So, Jess is talking about when people guessed how many cats Jess had. That was Wits and Wagers. That was, Wits and Wagers, also by the same company, North Star Games. I will probably do a morning show of Say Anything, and we'll see if there's enough people to give it a quick game. But anyway, talking about the main topic of conventions. Now, I think it's worth getting into how we first met. I think we met at Dragon Meet 2016. I know I sang that as a song already. Was that actually true?
I believe it was. You had In a Bind when it was In a Bind, and we trialed Blether in one of the earliest forms.
You mean a game wherein you? Short for
Blether.
A game wherein you blether, a Scottish word meaning to talk at length, at a fast rate, without necessarily making very much sense, using as many words as possible as you spout stream of.
So yeah, I remember that quite fondly. I actually went to Dragon Meet to cosplay to help at the door and hand out leaflets and stuff with a local cosplay company, which doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, due to the manager's health. But I dressed up as River Song, and we commented on how heels are probably not the best thing to wear at a convention, but sod that, it's a costume. I mean, the heels are like that.
I have gone through a convention wearing 4-inch heels once. True story.
Yeah.
It was compulsion. I never did that again. It's more just that, anyway, that's probably a story for another time. But
we've been year of would have been the following year, because December is when Dragon Meet is. You asked me via VJ Phillips now. She was married a couple months ago. VJ Phillips, whether for volunteers for, I don't know what was it? It was a post UKG. I think it was Dragon Meet next year, actually, if I remember rightly. So Dragon Meet 2017, and then from then on, I've helped you at a lot of conventions, and even gone to Essen with you, and yeah, so it's now I help you with your to-do list and some of the background admin.
Oh. Hi, Jess. Oh, there's the cats behind me. So we have been to a lots of conventions, as we've said, and I think if we look at a quick list of, tell me, what conventions have you been to in the audience? Have you been to many conventions? Have you been to any conventions? And which are your favorites? Because I think let's organize this show a little bit. It would be nice to talk about, firstly, what is a convention? Then what is a good convention? We're going to have a lot of ground to cover, so we're not going to be able to, really get into the nitty-gritty. But then, why do we enjoy conventions? It's kind of part of what is a good convention. What conventions have we been to? What are the other reasons for going to a convention? And then finally, moving towards what was the main reason for us meeting, which was us talking about virtual online conventions. Now, what is a convention? I'm just going to give this definition off the top of my head, and then whilst you talk or respond to this, I'm going to look up the actual accepted definition. Does that sound fine?
That seems logical.
Okay, so my definition for a convention is sufficiently large. I don't know how many is sufficiently large. That's something we could argue about. A sufficiently large number of people gathering together for a singular purpose. That's it.
I would half disagree with that, because that it's also performances and conferences, and they're slightly different.
That's true. Yeah,
it's more of a trade, either trade show or demonstrations of things, or both, depending on the convention. So it can be small to large, but I would say you'd need at least 150 people for me to call it a sufficient convention. It's a very small convention, because some start small. Uncon was one of the smallest I've been to, the unconventional convention down in Thanet, and I believe they had more than 150. So, but 150 on top of the tradesmen, should I say? I'm not talking about the stalls. That's what separates. It's the stalls that make it a convention for me, not whereas a conference is people talking at you about their subjects and you half falling asleep.
I mean, for sure, there needs to be an aspect of participation from the people and an aspect of wandering around. I mean, it's just looking at this. Definition number 1, 2, and 3 are something correct or polite, traditional method or style, an official agreement. That's not what we're looking at. It's a large meeting of an organization or political group, which is, again, not... UK Games Expo is apparently not a convention according to the dictionary, which is clearly wrong. I mean, in our accepted manner of speaking in the board game world.
It's a large meeting of UKG is the organisation, and they host multiple tradespeople and game designers, gamers, dungeon masters, game masters. They host these people under the banner of UKGE.
I mean, if that kind of feels like, then the word organisation might as well be an organised large meeting of people, because organisation, you're suggesting that by my paying for a bit of stand space, I become part of the UKG organisation, because that doesn't seem quite right to me. I am not actually part of UK Games Expo.
I'm not saying you become a part of it as a part of the organisation side. I'm saying UKGE themselves are the organisation. You are paying for service through that organisation. and they're hosting the large gathering.
Because on this dictionary, it talks about the annual meeting of the Society of Professional Journalists. So the Society of Professional Journalists would be the organization. So it's people within this organization who meet. Whereas actually a convention, in the sense of London Anime Gaming Convention, which I chose not to go to because of problems like, yeah, we had a little chat, so I probably don't want to talk too much about that because I don't have first-hand experience. But anyway, let's skim over that whole thing. Let's talk about Essenspiel, or what's another anime thing? There's the Comic Con, there's the MCC.
There's Collectomania. That's not anime.
Yeah, there we go. And these are kind of meetings of fandoms. And I think that's something that really should have been added to that dictionary definition. Because
I have another written definition here. It's not exactly a dictionary definition, difference between .com. It says, a convention is held to commemorate an event or a milestone, and it is held once in a few years. On the other hand, it talks about the difference between a convention and a conference. Convention normally targets a particular section of people. Conventions such as youth conventions, student conventions, and the like target particular sections of people, like the youth and the students, respectively.
So, I mean, rather than trying to nail down because we're already nearly halfway through the show, rather than trying to nail down the exact words, let's just work out what are some examples of a convention. So, Spiel in Essen, hundreds of thousands of people. Convention, just say yes, no, clearly yes, or clearly no.
Clearly yes.
Okay, so UK Games Expo, a bit smaller, 20,000 people ticketed convention.
Yeah.
So Dragon Meet, smaller, 2,000 people meeting up to play role-playing games, board games, having seminars. Convention?
I would say that's a convention with a conference attached onto it.
Huh. What makes that a convention with a conference?
As soon as you add seminars rather than just talks, as soon as you add seminars, you start adding a conference part. So UKGE, though they've got talks about in there, they've mainly got events. They're shows. They do have some talks, as you know, you'd be part of them, but it's largely shows. Whereas Dragon Meet, you have seminars for people talking very particularly about working in the industry and how they came up with their stuff. So that's more of a conference for me with a convention. So it's not 50-50, but it's a convention with conference attached. But I have a particular experience of what a conference is because being an academic, I've gone to a fair few. But let me tell you, they're not as dull. They're the ones that like Dragon Meet are not as dull as the ones I've been to. Some of the ones I've been to.
And sorry about this, Jess, but there are no dragons at Dragon Meet.
That's actually a lie.
Okay. There are people dressed up as dragons. There are cosplaying dragons.
No, VJ has a pet. Brought her pet dragons with her.
Anyway, conventions are a conventional experience and conference and a conference. So genuinely, okay, let's get back to what is a convention. So Festival International de Jeux, okay. So in Cannes, there's apparently last time there were 110,000 visitors, professionals, competitors, and just the public. So, but the key difference with this compared to Essenspiel or UK Games Expo is that you can get in for free. So some people would say that this makes it not technically a convention, but it's a festival. Would you cite a difference, or would you say that this is a convention? I mean, I feel like it's within that umbrella of what we're talking about.
I would say it's a Okay, hear my analogy. I would say it's a convention as much as non-binary falls under the transgender word etymologically. I can't speak this morning. So being non-binary myself, I say that technically speaking, etymologically, I'm trans. However, I don't feel trans. So the idea that it's a sort of like a festival, but I think it's, are there stalls? For me, a festival is all about partying and all about experiencing something like an art of some form, whether it's performing or fine or whatever. Although board games could be considered a type of art, actually, now I think about it. So I was getting really wishy-washy.
I mean, ultimately, what you're going to often see at the convention, this is just Festival International de Jeu's Twitter page with some pictures from the previous show, like Tabletop Gaming Live, which Nick Butler's already mentioned in the comments, and which thanks Nick for joining in a couple of the 2 p.m. events. It's fairly big spaces. You don't have too many folk around, as you can. Some of the things are ticketed, so some of the talks or whatnot are only open if you have a paid ticket. But to get into the main thing is completely free, and yeah, it is a really big thing. Now, I think let's talk about small conventions. Alan Outson is talking about their own one-person solo gaming convention to SoloCon, and they will send out one invite to themselves. In all seriousness, I think you need to have a critical mass of people to make it to convention. But I think that 150 people seems like more than is necessary. I went to Bastion, which is a convention. I would call it a convention in Wales. If I can just find some pictures to share with you. It is ultimately a whole bunch of people taking over a YMCA, and in off-season, and you wake up, there's about maybe 80 people in the whole convention, and it is a tiny amount, which means that by the end of the long weekend, because you're there from Thursday to Sunday, although you can stay for a bit less time if you want, but the ticket prices are all the same regardless of how long you stay for, because the costs to them are basically the same. So you get to learn all these people, and it feels like a convention. There are no people, there are no traders, but there's a lots of people, and there you can see me and Ed balancing a box on their head. So
I know you're playing.
No, I don't think that was Yogi, but this is like the sorts of things that happen. There's a bit of a raffle where I got the game Yes No, and anyway, while we talk through, do you think this is a convention? Now I've talked about it just looking at these pictures, Jason.
I would say it's on the edge. I wouldn't say it is a convention. I'd say it's a large gathering of people. It looks a bit too, and I say this with love, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It looks more disorganized, and I'm sure people who know the behind the scenes of the convention know that that's also rubbish. But it looks more disorganized than organized compared to all the other conventions.
You think that to be a sense of some schedule of events to really make it a convention?
Some schedule or some layout or some kind of form of organizing that would make it a convention. I think it's right on that edge, that fine line edge where it could probably be put a pinky toe in the idea of a convention. But for me, in my opinion, I wouldn't class that as a convention. It's a gathering of people playing games.
Okay. Like, that's interesting, because I wouldn't have made that distinction. So now we've navigated the rules of this sort of language game, and we know exactly what we're talking about. So it seems like whether it costs money to come in or not, neither of us feels like that makes a difference. Exactly how many people are going in, it makes more of a difference to Jason than it does to me, and the level of organization is similar. It sounds like Jason is coming from a slightly more rigorous definition of what is a convention. Now, let's talk about what's a good convention and why should people go to a convention, or like should is a strong word. And
always get to one convention in your life, at least one.
So Alan asking, can you quickly summarize that? So basically, you need people gathering, you need enough people, and you need to be have some schedule of events. Is that correct, Jason?
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay, that's our quick summary. So what's a good convention? We've got a little bit going back. Alan Outson doesn't like crowds, so basically doesn't like conventions. Yeah. In essence, Nick Butler is pretty much a Dragon meets convention person, it's because of not having too many crowds. And talking about Tabletop Gaming Live, I think it's technically called, by Tabletop Gaming Magazine. Even though I don't think this was their... they weren't trying to do this, but it just so happens that they booked out the entirety of Alexandra Palace. And, there weren't fundamentally enough exhibitors and people visiting to make it feel packed. And for me, as a trader, it was quiet enough that I don't think I would attend again. It's just not worth it to me. I will attend again as a punter, and I'm sure that I would enjoy it because it's just like 20-minute cycle up the road, and I'd go up and I'd say hello to Oink and stuff, and I'm sure I'd have a good time, like checking out all the games and having a bit of fun, because I like playing games, funnily enough. That's why I make games. And
pop over and say hello as well. I'll drive up.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to stay over in the house for nights, like we might be able to organize something, I mean, you're always welcome. And, obviously not this year, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, that notion of crowds, there's a big difference between Essen, especially in the main halls, which is halls 1 and 3. Did you actually manage to get yourself to the halls 1 and 3 when it was opening time?
No, it took me about an hour to get through one of the halls, and that wasn't even me getting distracted. It was 45 minutes to get from one end from the loo back to our stall.
So you can't jog very well?
No.
Okay, like it only takes me about 20 minutes to get from one side of Essen to the other. But I do a kind of half jog.
And you do it in the morning, when it's quieter. Whereas I was doing it like in the middle of the day, walking through.
And Jess loves crowds. And
I'm not a big fan of crowds. I prefer. I don't mind a crowd when I've got a role of some sort. So when I'm helping run a stall, or I'm cosplaying, it's all like a costume for me. Other than that, I'll stay as far away from crowds as I possibly can. It sets off all sorts of social anxiety. I'll just drop in there, I'm autistic. So it's just chaos for me. And yet, I don't mind helping out at conventions. I've helped out with tech at UKGE, and I don't mind doing that kind of stuff. It's really bizarre. I suppose it's if it gives me a little bit of authority to push through. I suppose, I don't know, but it's weird.
I mean, I think that quickly jumping back, Nick Butler says, so board game night with a plan for a board game would be a convention? No, because there's not sufficient people. And we're saying that if there were 150 people and you had a mansion and you organize some sorts of schedule, then would it be a convention, Jason?
I would call it an unofficial convention, unless you advertise it out.
Like if it's open invite and you get 150 people coming to your mansion, let's say I owned an actual mansion.
I mean, yeah, I would call that a convention if you've organised it a bit more. It feels a little more informal. But then I've been to performances, or I've had friends who go to performances in literal professional performances in someone's living room. Would that be classed as a proper performance? Who knows? Yet there's a group called, they used to be called Davy Jones Locker, that would go around and perform in people's living rooms. It was amazing, it was brilliant. And yet, consider that not a real performance because there's not enough people. It's not, but it's organised. It's got a set day. It's got a set list. They've rehearsed for it. They go in, they perform, and then they have a natter afterwards, like any other performance. So,
and this notion of things being annual, that's clearly not true. I mean, I don't think that Aircon going from twice a year to once a year made it any more a convention. I don't think that Uncon going from changing its scheduling makes it any more convention. It's about how meaningful each of those things are. If you can actually have, I guess it would be a weird thing, but let's say hypothetically, if you were able to have 100 people, 150 people coming to your castle, let's say I had a castle in Thailand every single weekend, and it was like, okay, you come in, there's a schedule for what we're going to play, and there's like maybe even like some events and speakers. If this were even every single weekend and there were 100 people coming and I was doing the work of organizing it, it would be an unprecedented move. But I think at that point, would you agree that that's a convention?
Oh yeah, that's a convention. That is a convention, hands down.
I mean, it gives me almost palpitations just thinking about it. But
the stress of sorts now, but yeah.
Yeah. So we've established what's a convention. You might have conventions that are really busy, like Essen, 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. at halls 1 and 3 is literally like Notting Hill Carnival, if you've ever gone through them, where you can't make your way through the crowds. You're not aware of this, Jason, but opening time at those places, halls 3 and 1, and maybe hall 2, 1, 2, and 3, like the biggest halls, it's just so immense. Whereas Festival International de Jeux, yeah, there's a big queue to get into the door, before opening time, but once you're actually in, I can wander around so easily. I've never had a case of, hey, I want to go from A to B and I can't get round. Can you still hear me, by the way? And my screen seems to have disappeared. I hope everyone can still hear me. Anyway, let me know on the chat if you are having problems. So carrying on talking.
It appears Bez might have run out of battery. I believe I still have internet. Let me just do a quick Google check. Google is the best speed tester. Yeah, because I've got it. But Bez might have run out of battery. So yeah, I've known Bez for a while, mainly through conventions. And actually, as we've got a sneaky little read, okay, I can run the show. It's my turn now. So I can rule it. Actually, I'm going to read Wikipedia's definition of a convention. So a convention, in the sense of a meeting, is a gathering of individuals who meet at an arranged place and time in order to discuss or engage in common interests. So I think that's a bit too loose. I'm going to kind of sneakily use this time to plug Adventures and Artists because I can. I know Bez wouldn't mind. So we talked about it briefly before. Adventures and Artists is a live recorded Dungeons and Dragons game with improvised / reactionary music. Unfortunately, due to tech limitations at my uni, we couldn't stream the music in and have the live reactions like we did in the pilot concert series, which is a bit of a shame. We are hoping to have that back again at some point. But we recorded the game. We took that game in its raw form to the musicians, and the musicians recorded over top of that. And then we sent it out into the internet, and Bez is back.
Yay! I think that was entirely my connection. I ran and got my phone, and I am now personally hotspotting. So, Yeah, something's up with the Virgin Media. But did you cover? So we were talking about conventions can be busy or not busy, and
I read a definition from Wiki, and I did a little plug of A&A because I'm very cheeky.
that's fine. And yeah, reasons to go to a convention. As a publisher, obviously, I go to a convention to sell stuff, to kind of show it off to people, to engage stuff, and to kind of watch people having fun with my games. As a person, before I was ever designing, well, I've been designing games arguably since 6 or something. But before I was an actual published person, I went there to play games, to find out about new games, to meet designers, to meet other people who are interested in the same things as me, to and also to listen to some famous people talking. I got to hear the person who made Britannia. Damn, what's their name? Fame. Anyway, so I heard people kind of talking about things. What are some other reasons to go to a convention?
No, I'd say kind of network. I mean, as of to 2016, I was very new to the gaming world. I was mainly played Dungeons and Dragons, and that was kind of it for me. So other than your games, I've had Lord of the Chords, and I've had I've learned lots and lots of different games, and is it Lord of the Chords? Yeah, I've purchased dice books I never thought I would. I've picked up memorabilia and collected plenty of stuff. But I suppose my biggest draw to a convention, other than an excuse to wear a wonderful dress or to dress up as one of my favourite characters, is the people. Ironically, as I'm pretty adverse to socialising normally, I get to talk to new people and an excuse to go up. Oh, I really like your costume. Oh, that looks like an interesting. It's an excuse to start a conversation, and you don't feel out of place. So it's socialising. Ironically, is my drawn to. Although I tend to run out of spoons by the end of the day, as we learnt very quickly in Essen.
Just to let people know, in the few minutes that I was offline, I didn't see any of the comments that people might have sent, but yeah, I see the things going down. And Nick's saying that they go to conventions to discover and change up their experiences. I think that's a really nice thing, because it's all about that discovery, and they enjoy Playtest UK community and meeting other creators around products. And
I absolutely agree. I mean, one of my favourite games that I play now with some friends, I can't remember what it's called, which is really bad, but I played it at Dragon Me a couple of years ago. It was a role-playing game in the style of TV shows. And the one we did was it was Desperate Housewives style, and it was very like reality TV / heavy drama. And it was just so fun to play. It was purely about the role play, so it was brilliant. So I've incorporated that into games that I've run for Dungeons and Dragons, and I wouldn't have known about it if it wasn't for attending a convention and just signing up.
What you said, going back to it's all about the people, I think that ties into, why do we play board games? And certainly board games, there are multiple reasons to play board games. Sometimes I do. And was it Primetime Adventures, maybe, Jason?
Yes, Primetime Adventures. Yes, that's it. Brilliant.
So one thing about, it's when you play board games, as someone who's on the spectrum myself, probably, although I've never been diagnosed or anything, I think it's more important to know what you are and what your desires are and what works for you. And personally, the notable thing is that I have a strong desire for understanding rules and knowing and so, when there's a social dynamic where I'm not sure what's going on, that fills me with bits of extra anxiety maybe. When it's kind of, okay, this is my role here, I'm going to perform, and okay, I'm playing this, and I can happily be the center of a crowd, and I love it. I love being the center of attention. If it's like, okay, we're having a chat, and I'm like, okay, at what point do I say something? Do I say something at all? Little social rules like that can be actually quite difficult to navigate. But then when you play a board game, it can, even though it might be a complex board game, it might be something, well, it's not the most complex out there, but something like Agricola, there's a lot of people who couldn't really navigate the framework of rules within that game, or DMACR, or Power Grid, or whatever. Whereas for someone like myself, yes, there's a lot of maths to uncover, but it's like a safe framework within you can fail. If I lose, okay, it's still within that safe space of the magic circle, but I know exactly what I'm trying to do. And so that can be a nice thing about board games. And to the same extent, there can be how the level of organization of a convention can vary massively. And for you, it sounds like there needs to be a certain level of organization to turn it from, okay, ad hoc gathering. Oh, I opened up my house and suddenly we had 150 people there, to saying, okay, it's an actual convention, to saying, okay, we had an actual schedule of events and we turned it into an actual convention. Yeah. And presumably for you, Aircon Zero, as it's called, is not a convention because that was just Mark Cook and their friends.
Yeah, and Uncon, the original Uncon was, I think it was a birthday party originally. So a convention can grow out of a random gathering. I wouldn't consider an original gathering. So it's a bit fluffy in the definition, but there's nothing wrong with that to give some freedom. But this leads us nice on to like online conventions. What we've discussed kind of about what we feel a good convention is. And I'm going to take over a little bit while Bez disappears again. But online conventions, for me, they can be hit or miss. I have no control, so I can't show your thing. But yeah, Bez went full Scots. So I'm looking forward to see how UKGE handles the online formats, because the thing that's missing there is the social, big time, is the social interaction. There's some small bits in random rooms and stuff, but there's no obligation to go and try new things. You're there in front of your computer. I like a safe space. My favorite. I've been to 2 conferences this year online, and actually there I've engaged most. But it's because it's very different from a convention where it's like I've got a schedule of events and that's it. There's nothing else around it. Actually, one of the conferences I attended, during breaks they randomly put people into rooms to socialize. That was terrifying for me at first, but I managed to find a few people that were interested in my topic. I was interested in theirs. We've shared references, and I've had a meeting with them yesterday. One of them yesterday to talk about my topic, and I wouldn't have done that in a normal conference because I'm too scared to start that conversation. So it's hit and miss. So having that, I think if UKGE are going to handle it well, they will have randomly generated moments of putting people in rooms that are not necessarily talking about board games, but a particular board game or a particular thing, but just for people to natter. Yeah. But I don't know how that's going to work in a convention format. Obviously, this works in a conference format. They can, socialization is the key. Socializing, not socialization. That's a different thing entirely.
Firstly, just a quick technical note. I don't know what's up with my internet today. This is literally, I think, the first time, maybe the second time it's happened, which is quite a nice thing considering it's what's the 57th one that I've done. But I'm glad that you're here with me to keep the conversation going. Thank you, Jason.
That's my
But Nick makes a really good point about the corridor conversations, which I imagine is sparking off everything you've been saying. And yeah, you can have a similar thing in a chat room where you start having, whispers to each other or whatever medium you're choosing. Maybe you start private messaging someone. But yeah, it's never quite the same because the ability to talk near someone, overhear something, and say, "Oh, you're talking about Untold Legends awaits, Adventure awaits," or Rory Story Cubes. Are you talking about Yogi? Or hey, do you like 2-player abstract strategy games? I like 2-player abstract strategy games. Do you want to get together and play Quarto together or whatever?
I mean, you and I had the same experience with Lord of the Chords. I mean, you told me after I'd already passed it and I was curious about it. So there's this game which is based heavily on music theory. Me being a big music nerd, I've actually brought it. I bought the full pack. I can't wait to try it with my students after the pandemic. Not after the game, after the situation. But Bez and I just randomly walked past this stall and went, "This is really interesting." I mean, I purchased a book at the end of Essen about the history of dice, which was perfect for my thesis, but also I'm fascinated by dice. That was based on a random wander. You don't get that on an online convention. The sense of randomness and the accidental finds and the accidental conversations. It's just, yeah. Well, unless they, I mean, I think I was talking to Wes the other day where I said, if online conventions are going to survive, for me, it would be they would have a virtual reality version. So you can have that walkthrough. So
you talked about the notion of browsing, and I mentioned that what UK Games Expo are briefly considering is having like something that's constantly going on where they drop in on someone where it's like, okay, 30 seconds here, let's talk about that. Okay, 30 seconds here, let's talk about that. And so forth. And with a link to maybe go and explore it a little bit more.
It's not advertising. That's like a radio show dropping in things every now and again. It's not the same. I think.
But isn't that as close as you can get?
With the technology currently, I mean, actually, with technology that they can afford right now or can set up right now, I think there's technology out there where you can have a wander and have like a RuneScape or Minecraft like role-playing simulator where you can wander around the convention by yourself, because browsing is a personal experience. It's not dictated by the outside. Me, to browse and to interact randomly with people, you're wandering. You take your own destiny, your own journey. That's a bit heavily spiritual now, but you make your own way through the convention. All about yourself, all about the subjectivity, your perspective. Whereas dropping in random every 30 minutes, a little notice about a game, or dropping in a game that's being played and then showing that's advertising. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not browsing.
So for you, the notion of browsing is that it needs to be self-regulated and self-directed. And maybe it's the case that just we can't have browsing as you know it. I mean, Nick Butler brings up the accessibility issues that would revolve around that sort of experience. And yeah, it might be that just browsing is not something we can actually do in a virtual online convention, but you can still have, okay, here's a lot of stuff that we're going to show you as a menu for you to help decide which thing you want to drop in on. Now let's talk about, we're basically out of time, but I think we should at least decide what is a virtual convention, because we didn't even talk about this. And Nick Butler says, every second Saturday they run a meetup. Everyone adds to a calendar in the style of an unconvention, so you can look ahead and ask questions to choose where to watch. And Alan Oughton likes to sort of PDF map, so you kind of have an idea. But I know that for me, that just then adds confusion over what's already gone. I would actually prefer there to not be a map. I would prefer it to just be a menu, to be like, boom, this is your options right now. I don't want to have to go and navigate this weird virtual space or be able to think, okay, the hallway is where the main games are happening. I just want to be...
It needs to be pictorial. I think that's the key. It needs to have a visual element to it, whatever it is. I mean, I know Nick's saying that having 30 years of online virtual experience 3D, it's hard to make it work for many issues around accessibility and quality of experience. I would say it has a huge level of accessibility compared to a physical convention. Because I could attend, I mean, I dropped in on a convention in America once during this pandemic. I would never be able to get there. I can't afford to. But yeah, no, a visual element helps, because reading all the time doesn't tell you anything. Unfortunately, we do judge the book by the cover, and that's how we browse. So it's very, yeah, I think an online convention is a tricky world to be in, especially right now where conventions are being forced, if they want to have one, to continue to work online. I don't think it's wrong, but the fear is an online convention will turn more into a board game purely a board game gathering rather than a convention.
I think the notion of, what is a convention, it's something that I might ask Chris Bockey to join in. Let's talk a bit about, not right now, but about virtual playtesting when we can't meet up with strangers in a physical meet space, as I'm going to call it. I think that, we've not really established any clear line between what is just a bunch of people meeting up and trying to play some games versus a real online convention. I guess maybe right now it's somewhere about how many people are there. Because to me, going to WellyCon felt like a convention. I was there as a publisher. There were people ready to play my games and they were excited to play. And we had an event, and then who was the other one? Loserpalooza, Dave Loser, and their partner. And then they were playing all sorts of silly games, a bit of which I joined in. It felt like an event. It felt like there were things going on. It felt like, okay, we are gathering together. There's things to draw us together. And we are being pushed from one room to another room and kind of forced to interact with people that we otherwise wouldn't have. And that's a nice thing. And meeting new people. Whereas if it's just a case of, hey, we're going to play this game, and if it's totally separate, and if the only connection between these games is a list on a server somewhere, then that doesn't feel like it's quite got the, cohesiveness that you would expect of a convention. What's dropping out, Nick? Lets us know. But yeah, we're going to finish up around now. Firstly, if you have enjoyed this, thank you everyone who has been watching and commenting along. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Elaine, Alan, Nick, Jess. It's been really, really nice to have you. If you enjoyed this, then we do talk every 10 a.m. And yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be talking.
She does. She talks.
Yeah, I do. We're going to be talking with Calvin Wong. I'm going to be talking. I don't know why I say we. It's like the royal we.
I mean, since part of the company, but I'm not talking then.
So just for full disclosure of bias, I basically pay Jason to do a couple of hours of work a week, and yeah, ideally to help me get organized. And it was like, yeah, Jason, you're basically helping me out at all these conventions. I should just start formalizing it. So I am, getting you over to some places where I wouldn't invite, just make an open invite. Like, I'm not going to do an open invite for Essen. I need no more than one person, maybe two would be nice, but definitely no more. And yeah, anyway, so if you have enjoyed this, thank you everyone for following along. Feel free to share it, and please do follow and follow whatever is appropriate for the channel. And I'm up to 28 followers, which is amazing. Once I get to 50, I unlock stuff. And yeah, the next stream is going to be, we do a quick recap normally, which is that conventions, we've decided there's 3 things you need for a convention: some level of organization, some number of people, and there was something else. You need to have enough people, you need to have a certain number of... Pardon?
Was it a buzz, I believe?
No, it's like something back at the start we said.
I've forgotten all that is now.
Anyway, oh man, that's not a good recap at all. But
well, if you would like to watch
yeah,
have a recap, watch it from the beginning to add more views.
You've got to have enough attendees, enough of a schedule, and I think that's it. It's a large number of people. Oh, and they've got to be getting together. So it's a large number of people. So it's a singular kind of purpose, getting together for like some sorts of shared experience and some level of I think it's actually the self-direction. That was the thing. So it can't be, I guess that also ties into what is a massive LARP versus what is just a convention, because you could have a 150-person LARP theoretically, which would not be a convention. So maybe it has to be more like there's a variety of possible experiences that you can opt in or opt out of. That you have to be able to wander and choose to do things or not to do things.
And LARPs are also similar to that. You can choose to interact with particular events. You can. It's also relatively organised by the crew behind the scenes. So yeah, that's an interesting one. What's the difference between a LARP and a convention?
But what are we looking forward to today? I'm personally looking forward to, maybe seeing a couple of people, seeing Ellie Dix at the playtest. I don't personally have anything really ready to playtest today, but if you are interested in joining us straight after this, we will be gathering at 11:30 UK time in about 22 minutes to playtest some games, and I'll share a link in a moment. What are you looking forward to, Jason?
Well, I'm looking forward to a weekend with my husband, which is quite nice because he works very hard, and it's only on the weekends when we get to spend time together. But I'm also looking forward to, hopefully, if the Wi-Fi holds up, releasing the 3rd volume of the original soundtrack for Adventures and Artists, which kind of fills the gap that I feel in my soul, because we haven't been able to complete the season due to not being able to access the software, which is actually at the uni, which is locked away. So hopefully I can release that 3rd volume, because our artists have actually, artist Georgina, already created all the way up, I think, volume 6 on the album artwork, so it's putting me to shame.
And whoops, I meant to share it on all the channels, not just Twitch. But morning, Daz. It's lovely to have you
Good morning.
join us. And we are just finishing up. And finally, if you want to join me at the playtest event and probably try something new by Ellie, then feel free to join the Discord server with the link that I just shared and can go. my daily hope / ambition is I hope to finish packaging everything that needs to be packaged.
I'll hold you to that one.
Pardon?
I'll hold you to that. It's my job to.
Yeah, I know. And if you in the audience have anything you're looking forward to, let us know. And if you want to check me out, then please do. I can be seen on many places around the internet, including my main website, which is just coming up, stuffbybez.com, right there, or twitter.com/stuffbybez, or instagram.com/stuffbybez, or twitch.tv/stuffbybez, where most of you are watching, or facebook.com/thingsbybez, because Facebook doesn't let you have F and B next to each other in the URL, but it does let you have Stuff by Bez as the page name. And if you want to email me, you can also do so that way by going to stuffbybez@gmail.com. And as for Jason, do you want to read it out?
Yep, you can find more about myself and my work on jasonhodgson.com, which is a brand new website created by my brother, which is much more navigatable than the other websites. You can also find Adventures and Artists at adventuresandartists.com, which links you to Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, as well as all other bits of information that we are slowly adding about the team. You can find me on Twitter at Jason H Composer, and Facebook the same, Jason H Composer. When I remember, because I'm very bad at social media, I share my daily stuff about my PhD and my thoughts, and also I'm not shy about my politics on Twitter, that's for sure. So you can find me all down there. If you want to find an Adventures and Artists, search AN, that's the letter N, A podcast, and you'll find that come up on Spotify, Twitter, Facebook, all sorts. And they're free to listen to, though if you want to donate, we welcome that.
And Daz is technically working from home till 4:30. So otherwise they would join for the playtests. But
Bandcamp.com and search for Adventures and Artists, then you might find our soundtracks that you can listen to while you work.
Depends how well you can multitask.
Oh, there's no talking. It's all just the sound, just music.
Oh, nice. So it's instrumental stuff just to listen to. That does sound good.
So if you watch the episode, you'll hear the music in the background. What we've done is I've taken the music from the separate tracks, and I've cut them down into tracks and named them based on the action of what happens in the episode. Try my best not to have spoilers.
And as I said, I'm going to be here tomorrow, 10 a.m. I'm talking with Calvin Wong from Malaysia, a writer, reviewer. They've even had a short acting role in the film Crazy Rich Asians. And so we're going to get talking to them. That's going to be exciting. Sunday, talking to Shaz. And Monday, hopefully, I might be talking to someone in Australia, Erisalar. So people from all over the world. And for now, there's only one thing left to do, which is to say bye, 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 bye. This is the bye-bye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully see you. Bye-bye.